Good morning, everyone. My name is Mel Clemente, and I'll be your presenter for today's webinar. I am really excited to teach you about how you can create your beautiful splash screens for your forms here. I've been designing InfoPath forms myself and making them beautiful with Patrick, also with us here today, as my inspiration. Been working with him for almost like more than a decade now. So yeah, I'm happy to teach you what I've learned so far. So if you're ready, let's get started. Before we actually start, I'm gonna send you a link here that you can access in your maybe from your phone or from your PC. This is a link to one of the sample forms that we have today for you. So what you're gonna see is sample form. It's just as nothing, just some texts in there. But notice the background image right there. It should load for you because this is an external image or a public image, meaning it is uploaded on the web that all users should be able to see. And later I'm going to teach you how you're able to do that. And as you can see on my screen here, I'm trying to access this in incognito mode. And so I'm not logged in as a SharePoint user, yet I'm able to see this form, including the background image behind that. So yeah, it does look great, and you can tell us what you think. Maybe raise your hand if you think it's great indeed, or what have you. Later you can ask questions. But yeah, let's proceed to the whatabouts of this form, how to do this cool trick here. Okay, so today for today's webinar, I'd like to show you 3 tips actually, how you can create a colorful load if you don't want images. Background images, let's be honest, can capture the user's attention, so you don't want to go very bold. It actually depends what you're trying to to express to your users about your form. But sometimes you might just want some colors behind the scenes. You can go with gradients or just grayscale or plain colors, what have you. You can get creative as you want, and I'll teach you how you can do just that. And there you saw the background image, because again, you're trying to like excite your users to fill out the form for you. This is not going to be a boring form, but it's going to be you can have them fill out a survey that has like 15 questions, and they can get bored in the middle, but at least there's something enticing behind the scenes there. So yeah, and then later on, you'd want to just change your background image maybe to like what you saw in that example form, to an external image, to a public image that is uploaded on the web, so that every user, everybody can use it, can see it. Otherwise, if your picture is uploaded, for example, in your SharePoint site, external users won't be able to access that without, because they need a SharePoint login, of course. So I'll teach you all those techniques later on. And it's actually easy how you can go about doing all that. It's just via custom style sheets. So that's the magic behind the scenes. And since we have forms viewer that and Q rules playing together, we're able to load a CSS file and design our form as crazy as we want, right? So to specify the background image, we just call that the background image element, and specify the URL there. You're going to paste your URL there. If it's the gradient, it's just going to be background, and I'll teach you more later. You don't want the height of the image to occupy the entire screen, so you're going to need 100% height, along with the cover specification down here. And just formatting, everything here is basically just formatting the image. First, you load your image from the URL you specify, and then you format it nicely based on these specifications in the CSS file. So here's how we preserve the aspect ratio and everything. So yeah, so I talked about gradients. You'll see here in the sample screenshot that I'm doing like pinkish going to green here. These are my kids' favorite colors, so I picked those. But again, you can get creative as you want. You can do any colors of your liking. But the trick is you just call the background element there. I'm not sure if I'm using the correct wordings here. Is it a tag, element, attribute, whatever? But this is CSS tag, maybe background, and you're going to call the linear gradient, specify that. You can tell whatever direction you want your gradient to go. It can be to left or to right, to top right, top left, what have you. It's again the direction of your gradient there. And notice here it's going from the top to the bottom right, where my first color is this. This is the pink one. And where it's going to start, what percentage of the screen will start, my next color, and what percentage will it stop. And you can have more than two colors, actually, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I haven't tested more than 10 though, so it's up to you really. And here are some links where you can actually generate the gradients and see, try to play with color combinations of your choice, and it will generate the correct CSS code for you, which you just need to place in your CSS file. That's how easy it is. And later I'm going to show you live, and we're going to actually play with different colors there. But just to make things more exciting, you'd want a background image. So in Forms Viewer, sometimes the loading screen, not only in Forms Viewer, and on the web, basically, right? Things load. It depends on how much data it's trying to load during that initial loading time, right? And it can take more than 5 seconds or so. And during that loading time, you'd want something to just capture your audience's attention for a little bit there, and a background image would help a lot. So, so you'd want a background image there, not very, very bold. We've got this, it's like you can't see, but I'll show you in the browser later, a clock and a calendar. We use this for our timesheet forms. And as you can see, the background image is uploaded in our SharePoint site, meaning this is accessed by only internally by our team. It's uploaded in the site assets. So again, when you specify a background image that is uploaded, you just use the background dash image element there with the URL. So again, only internal users will be able to see. I'm not seeing my entire screen, so okay, let me move this a little bit. Okay, and then there's another, I have another example of here I am, I'm showing using two. There's the background image and the fallback color. So what's this fallback color for? So for example, an external user tries to access your form, and because Forms Viewer allows external access, right? But if the background image is located in your SharePoint site, like in Site Assets, they will not be able to see that image that you specified right here in the background image URL. So in that case, what you want them to see is a color, maybe, right? You can. I haven't tried if we can do gradient here, but I don't think so. It's just going to be a plain color. So yeah, that's how you specify it. If external users will see that custom fallback color instead of the background image. This should be image, excuse me. And then here is our external image one, which is what you just tried. It's the same background image, specify your URL, but then this is a public site. As long as that image is up there in that location, your form's background image will work. All right, so maybe in that case, you also want to add a fallback color just in case, they decide to take down that image in that location. So yeah, that's how you add your public picture for your external users. Okay, that was quick, I hope. Let me show you all that working in action. So we started with this guy here, and you've already seen that. Let's go back to my incognito window. So I'm going to see the same thing even if I try to open this form in, here's Forms Viewer, by the way. Even if this column here is for opening internally. So let me go ahead and open that in my same browser session here, and I'm logged in. So I'm seeing the same thing here, whether it's internal or external incognito mode, it doesn't matter, okay? But if I look at the internal background image here, so again, this is internal. The image is uploaded on our site assets. I still can see and you didn't even notice the background image loading because this form just loaded very quick, like 1 second. Me trying to refresh here. There, yeah, 1 second. If I try to open this in Chrome incognito mode, I'm gonna copy the address and paste it here. Let's see what we get. There isn't nothing at all. It's just all white. I think that's a default. It can be black. I think I've seen this um, form load with a black screen. But again, the reason why I'm not seeing the image and I'm not seeing any color because it's just an image, an internal image, published in our SharePoint site there. Since I'm an external user trying to access, I'm not seeing anything. That's why we have this separate internal with fallback color instance. Let me grab the link there and paste it on here. Let's see what we get. So there's our light blue or pale blue color, pastel blue, what have you. So it's a lot better, right? So for external users, you still want them to have a good life with your experience, have a good experience with your form. Just not because they're external, they're not going to enjoy your form. So just add that in your form. They'll make them happy. And I'll show you if I load that same form. In here where I'm logged in, so you see how it started with a pale blue, but then it replaced it with my internal image because I'm able to just access that image. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And lastly, we have this gradient background colors, which will not have an issue as far as internal or external user audience goes, but I'd like to show you how we can play around this thing here. So we go to the inspector. All the browsers today, I think I've Chrome or Internet Explorer they have this inspector option or feature in the browser, which you can use for debugging or what have you. In this case, we're going to make use of this to temporarily play around with our CSS and customize according to our liking until we've come up with our final verdict of how we want to design that form. So here's our custom lines, custom code in that CSS. We see the background, linear gradient to bottom right. So let's say, for example, let's change this to top right. See how it now changed from my pink is now on the lower left here and going up there. So it's just that. And what else here? Let me toggle back up. I can click on here and change the color, something darker, and see how everything changes on the fly there. And yep, I can specify the opacity, something like that. And like I told you, you can add more than just 2 colors. So let's try that. So let's say I want the green to go up to 50 and this one, I'm adding a third color here. It can be blue. So see how that is working nicely. If I say to right, you can see the middle color. It's being covered by the form. But let's go back to bottom right here. And there you have it. So once you're happy with how things are looking like, you copy your code here, copy it, and then you go to your CSS file. Let me show you how that looks like. We've got the CSS file here, which is loaded in our InfoPath Forms resource file. So here's our linear gradient, the initial one with the pink and the green. I just need to replace all that with the one that I just did. You're going to want to make sure that you only have 1 semicolon at the end there. So now let's try this. Let's save this CSS file and let's grab the XSN that I'm using for that form. This is the one. Okay, and I'd be happy to show you our internal form working as well with a cool background. So look at this form in the designer. You don't even see the background here, no visual. Again, why? Because the image is either uploaded on the web or to your SharePoint site or specified in your CSS file. We're just adding that CSS file as a resource file in here. So you go to Data, Resource Files, Add, and let's add our recent CSS file, the one that we just changed. Click OK and replace it because it already is present. And here is how we're calling that CSS file. In the finish loading node of Qdabra rules, you load that gradient background and use the command load resource. Specify the name parameter to be the file name of your CSS file. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. I just saved that and upload it back to Forms Viewer. And just to show you that there's no magic going on, let me close all my tabs there and just show you this Manage Templates page. Now I'm going to replace the gradient background colors X's in with my recent one, this guy here, and update. So that's how easy it is to publish your forms into Forms Viewer. You won't have to go through the publishing wizard. So let's try to open this form and let's see. There's our changes, which actually looks nice, kind of. That's cool. All right, I think we still have time to show you our internal form. This one takes more time to load initially, so here's a perfect example of, people getting a little bored during form loading time. And let's see what happens if that's the case. I think I should actually just, okay. So I'm going to create a new form. Yeah, let's see. There's the loading screen, and you can count how long it's taking. It's definitely not less than 5 seconds. But there, the moment before I even try to fill out this guy, I was already seeing something being presented with some cool stuff in there. And here's our timesheet. We actually just recently modified this, made it more beautiful. And I hope yours truly, by yours truly, by the way. And I hope people are liking this. But yeah, I'm kind of proud I have done this. I'm happy to. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, this is really awesome, Mel. I really want to tell everyone that, can you hear me okay? I just want to mention that this is all you. You actually discovered this technique and you created this technique, and it's been, I think, a profound, aesthetically pleasing change. Transformation is probably the word. Transformation to all of our forms. So this has been really a wonderful stuff. In fact, it's so, humans, have, what is it, a third of their brain devoted to visual processing. So, it's shocking that we haven't discovered this until now, but you get all the credit. Way to go.
Thanks. And you want to talk about Forms Viewer, right? There you go.
Sure. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. We've been doing Forms Viewer now since Microsoft announced that InfoPath was going away over 4 years ago. It would be 5 years ago, 2014, January. Forms Viewer is your insurance policy for the InfoPath sunset. So if you're worried about your forms not working or you want to move to the cloud, Forms Viewer is your path. And Forms Viewer isn't just the easiest way to replace your InfoPath forms because it doesn't require any change. It's also got all these new features, like Mel showed. She's got the customizing your forms with CSS, SMS text messaging for verification. You can have external users access your forms using their cell phones. They don't need a SharePoint login. You can do face recognition. You can do Google, all of these new big data analytic APIs out there in the web, the JSON-based web services. You can tie into those because we have added support for those newfangled web services. But best of all, you're going to have us at your back. If you use Forms Viewer, we're going to be here to support you And we try to do these weekly webinars every couple weeks, and we record them. We do training twice a year or more, and it's free. And I think most of you, on the call, I've seen several familiar names, and I know that many of you are already using FormsYear, so thanks for that. Yeah, Mel, that's all I have to say for FormsYear.
That's really great. Yeah, any questions so far? I know you might be curious as to why or how we're actually doing this in actual. So maybe you have forms you want us to customize, or you have questions, I don't know. And if you don't have any questions right now at the top of your head, you can email us, support@qdabra.com. We'd be happy to assist.
Mel, I've got one quick question about caching. The first time the form loads, the image doesn't appear as quickly, right, as the second time. Is that true?
That is true.
And that's
that is true. Yep.
The browser's caching the image. So if you're going to your form internally, that'll work with internal forms, but it won't work for the external ones, right?
If the image, say that again, that one last piece.
Well, does the caching work for external forms? I'm guessing it doesn't, because in incognito it doesn't cache things. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, that's true. But if the user isn't logged in non-incognito, the image would have cached in the second time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, my second question is around the zoom. So when you're zooming in, like say on Chrome, you can change the zoom level. Will the zoom level affect the background image? It doesn't look like it does.
Let's try. I think the cover specification would do for that. Let's see here. This is not a background image. Let's do. Oh, let's see. Let me get one link with an image. This one here. So if we zoomed, like right now, if I already am trying to scrunch down my screen, it doesn't, because we have this make the image like in the aspect ratio, right? So I guess it's trying to adjust based on that. Let's try to zoom then. Oh, it's not even affecting the background image at all.
I think that's good, actually. I think that makes it look better. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's great that you showed the responsive design and also the zoom, because they're kind of different things, right? When you change the screen resolution by just changing the size of the screen, it does adjust the background image because it's trying to lay it out differently. But when you zoom it is not. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My prefrontal cortex has been stimulated. Wonderful job.
Great to know that. All right, I think that's it for today's webinar, Patrick, unless you have something else.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we'll get the webinar posted on our YouTube channel, and we're going to also, you'll see a very quick 4-question survey at the end. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks so much, Mel. Awesome job.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.